All right, let's dive right into this fascinating explainer of Raymond F. Jones's classic 1951 sci-fi narrative, The Alien. We're going to explore an absolutely epic story of discovery, deception, and a truly desperate battle for the future of the human race. Now, I want you to picture a world so desperate for leadership, so utterly broken by the failure of its own institutions, that it is entirely willing to blindly worship an unknown entity from the stars. I mean, that's the exact premise we're looking at today. It's this massive, high-stakes conflict between the cold, hard facts of science and the overwhelming, frankly, irrational power of superstition. The vibe of this story perfectly captures that classic retro-futuristic pulp aesthetic of the era. It really sets the stage. We are stepping into a future where interplanetary flight is just a standard reality, and where the remnants of an extinct civilization, literally 500,000 years old, are just waiting to be uncovered out in the dark void of space.
Section 1. Discovery in deep space. We're starting our journey far, far away from a crumbling Earth, out in the quiet isolation of the asteroid belt.
So, there is a very stark contrast between two completely different environments here. Down on Earth, society is just disintegrating. People have completely lost faith in their presidents and priests. They are frantically searching for a headman, a savior to basically take all their responsibilities away. But out in space, it's the total opposite. We have this cold, rational sanctuary of scientific research led by our protagonist, physicist Delmar Underwood. He and his colleagues have essentially fled all that madness on Earth just so they can study ancient ruins in peace. And out there, the scientists are struck with sheer awe when they uncover something that should be impossible. It's this magnificent, mathematically perfect ebony artifact hidden right in the asteroid debris. It's 500,000 years old and completely impervious to their most powerful cutting tools, even things like the atom stream. Inside this impenetrable shell, they find a stasis cube containing a dormant mass of protoplasm. Alongside this dormant life form, they manage to decode an ancient metal book. The being inside the cube actually declares, "I am Damarzul, the Great One, the greatest of great Sirenia and the last." He promises that the vast knowledge of his extinct, vastly superior race is waiting for whoever can revive him. Well, to a lost and chaotic humanity, this sounds exactly like a beacon of hope, doesn't it? Section 2, Awakening the Great One. But, as we'll see, hope can be a very dangerous thing when it turns into blind fanaticism. The scientists bring this protoplasm back to the Carlson Museum on Earth to start this super delicate process of reviving it in a nutrient bath. But, of course, as the alien embryo grows, the news leaks out. A completely disillusioned public, spearheaded by this opportunistic preacher named William B. Hennessy, seizes on the event. Hennessy whips the crowd into a frenzy, demanding that the public worship this Great One as a divine savior who's going to swoop in and solve all of Earth's problems. This is where the core, high-stakes conflict really explodes. On one side, you have Underwood and the scientists meticulously observing the biological growth, basically screaming, "We have no idea what this creature actually is." But on the other side, you've got Hennessy's fanatical, mob-driven faith. The masses don't want facts, they want a god. They literally force the scientists to build a viewing balcony so millions of pilgrims can come and worship a bubbling tank of alien tissue. It's wild. And when Underwood tries to warn Hennessy, asking what happens if this vastly superior alien wakes up and tells humanity to go to hell, Hennessy reveals this terrifying blind spot. He just smiles and says, "He won't. I have faith." I mean, it is a profound commentary on how easily people will completely surrender their logic when they're desperate for a leader. Section 3, Quest for the Weapon. While the world is falling into this religious frenzy, the scientists finally manage to translate the rest of those ancient Sirenian records. And what they find is absolutely horrifying. The translated timeline maps out a terrifying truth. Damarzul is not a savior. He was the tyrannical ruler of the Sirenians. 500,000 years ago, his empire was utterly crushed by a vastly superior enemy known as the Dragbora. Damarzul didn't go into stasis to gracefully preserve his knowledge for a future race. He was a coward fleeing a terrifying dragborn weapon. So yeah, humanity's about to wake up a ruthless, ancient galactic conqueror. Realizing Earth is completely doomed once Damarzul awakens and uses his mind control abilities on his willing worshippers, Underwood knows they can't fight him with Earth's primitive technology. It's just not going to happen. So, Underwood and a small faction of scientists steal a ship and lead a desperate flight across the galaxy. Their only hope is to find the long-lost world of the Dragbora and locate whatever ancient weapon defeated Damarzul in the first place. Following ancient stellar coordinates, they actually arrive at a Dragborn planet. And the scene is unbelievable. The entire planet is perfectly preserved in a vacuum. It was destroyed eons ago by a weapon that ignited its entire atmosphere in a single flash, leaving these grand, massive cities completely intact, as if they were abandoned just yesterday. While hiding out in the ruins, they make contact with a surviving intelligence, an ancient Dragborn named Jandro, who communicates entirely through telepathy. Jandro introduces them to a crucial concept, the Abasa. Now, this isn't a machine or a gun. It's a biological, telepathic sensory organ. The Dragbor had defeated the Serenians using a specific variation called the Dorabasa, an organ that lets the user absorb and project nerve-destroying force completely invisibly. To save Earth, Underwood makes the ultimate sacrifice. He agrees to undergo a brutal 2-hour surgery to have these alien sensory organs grafted directly into his own brain. He has to learn to harness their telepathic communication and master their deadly force, all so he can face Tamarzul on his own terms. It's this massive, terrifying leap in human evolution purely forced by necessity. Section 4. The final telepathic duel. Armed with the terrifying powers of the Dragobora, Underwood races back to Earth for the climax. And this final confrontation is unlike anything humanity has ever seen. It isn't fought with lasers, guns, or fists. It is an invisible, telepathic deathmatch. Underwood stands right there in the museum, locked in an unseen struggle of pure mental force against a towering alien god. It's a battle that tests the absolute limits of human physical and mental endurance. Standing totally alone in pure defiance against Tamarzul, Underwood projects these bold thoughts directly into the alien's mind. He tells him, "I come as a Dragoboran to complete the unfinished task of my ancestors." He's not fighting as some primitive Earthman. He's tapping into the ancient might of the Dragobora, striking pure terror into Tamarzul by reminding the conqueror of the exact enemies who destroyed his empire 500,000 years ago. In response, Tamarzul lashes out with these deadly, sweeping waves of nerve-destroying energy. But Underwood uses the newly grafted Dorabasa to absorb those surging waves. It's almost like a ball being caught and thrown. Underwood catches the conqueror's lethal energy, amplifies it with his own, and just whips it right back into the innermost recesses of the Cyrenian's mind. The strain is monumental, but Underwood holds the line. Finally, overwhelmed by the ancient power of his oldest enemies, Tamarzul's force wavers. The Great One screams in ultimate agony and crashes to the floor of the museum, dead. The invader is destroyed. The immediate aftermath is chaotic, but totally necessary. With the alien's death, that heavy telepathic hypnotic illusion shatters instantly. The fanatic masses, who had spent the last hour acting like mindless, obedient children, are suddenly violently thrust back into reality. They just blink, totally confused, staring at their false god lying dead on the floor before them. Using his telepathy one last time, Underwood projects this incredibly powerful message across the entire Earth. The Great One is dead, and you are men once more. It's a harsh but completely necessary wake-up call. It reminds the populace that they no longer have a headman to hide behind. They cannot pawn off their responsibilities on a savior anymore. The crutch has been kicked away. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today, and it leaves us with a truly provocative question. Underwood saved Earth from the alien, absolutely, but the core problem, that remains. Can we, as a society, stand on our own 2 feet, take responsibility, and mature past our sort of racial adolescence? Or are we forever doomed to just search the stars for the next false idol? It's a remarkably chilling thought from 1951 that, honestly, still resonates so loudly today. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the alien.